I, Ernest Adegunle Shonekan, do solemnly swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and that I will preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
When, on August 26, 1993, Chief Ernest Shonekan was sworn in as the head of the Interim National Government of Nigeria, he vowed to restore peace and stability to the country. Interestingly, Shonekan went on to describe his government as a child of circumstance due to its unexpected role in supervising a smooth and peaceful electoral transition into a democracy after the annulled June 12, 1993 presidential elections. Of all of Nigeria's heads of state, Shonekan was an exception. He was neither a military man nor a teacher, but a British-trained lawyer. Shonekan was also the only unelected civilian head of state and without a political party. The only one born in a federal capital, Lagos. Chief Ernest Shonekan became an unelected head of state neither through an election nor a coup. The military government of General Ibrahim Babangida had appointed him after a bungled transition effort to take the country from military to civilian rule. Shonekan's tenure lasted for only 2 months and 22 days, the shortest in Nigerian history, before he was forced to resign by General Sani Abacha on November 17, 1993. Chief Ernest Shonekan was born to a civil servant's father on May 9, 1936 in Lagos, British Nigeria. Shonekan had his early schooling at Church Missionary Society CMS Grammar School, Nigeria's oldest secondary school, which was established on June 6, 1859. The young Shonekan had the best of high school education as his teachers were qualified, highly motivated, and ready to teach. Also, the needed facilities were provided and students received all-round education, including religious and moral instruction. In 1962, Ernest Shonekan backed a degree in law at the University of London and became a member of the Nigerian and English bars. Despite being a lawyer, Shonekan was a consummate businessman who later found himself in politics. In 1964, he joined the legal department of the United African Company of Nigeria and rose through the ranks as an assistant legal advisor, deputy advisor, and then managing director as of 1980. The company would later sponsor Shonekan to the Harvard Business School in the United States, where he completed an advanced management program. After General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida had dribbled Nigerians in his usual Maradona way for 8 years, he realized that his game was up with the rancor that followed the June 12, 1993 presidential elections. To both Nigerians and his military colleagues, Babangida just had to leave. However, the evil genius was not going to leave the stage just like that, without at least putting up a fight, even if it was a weak one. Thus, Babangida handpicked a civilian member of his dying regime to head the newly constituted Interim National Government (ING). The man Babangida chose to head the ING was the 57-year-old Ernest Shonekan. The only thing that qualified Shonekan to lead Nigeria at that time was because he was from Abeokuta, the birthplace of Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, the purported winner of the June 12, 1993 presidential elections. As a matter of fact, one of the conditions given to Shonekan was that he buried the June 12 matter as soon as possible. To Babangida, it takes a monkey to catch a monkey. Babangida's federal military government then released a spate of decrees to cage Abiola and crush his political ambitions. The most important of these decrees was Decree No. 61, which established Shonekan's interim national government. At around 3:30 p.m. on August 26, 1993, Chief Ernest Adegunle Shonekan was sworn in as Nigeria's new head of state and president of the interim national government by the Chief Justice of the Federation, Justice Mohammed Bello, at the presidential villa in Abuja. Interestingly, Decree No. 61 invested Abacha with the position of senior minister who would watch the interim government and then take over in the event of any unforeseen circumstance. Literally, the decree was asking the fox to protect and guard the hen. In his first address to the nation on August 31, 1993, Ernest Shonekan called his government a child of circumstance and then mentioned the planned pullout of Nigerian troops from Liberia. The new head of state further stated that the ECOMOG intervention efforts were causing a huge drain on the Nigerian economy and that it was best for Nigeria to leave the West African country. However, before he could do that, General Abacha booted Shonekan out and continued with the ECOMOG activities. Under normal circumstances, Ernest Shonekan's tenure was to end on March 31, 1994, but General Sani Abacha had other plans. An angry Abiola filed a court suit to declare the ING illegal. Abiola was successful and the ING was eventually declared illegal on November 10, 1993. Abacha, ever the cunning fox, flew from Lagos to Abuja and told Shonekan that since the court had declared the ING as illegal, the most honorable thing was for him to resign. Ernest Shonekan was wise. He had read the writing on the wall. Ever the gentleman, he did not argue and subsequently resigned. He even delivered a farewell speech. Although Shonekan's tenure was a short one, he had some successes in his 82 days in office. He released many political activists who had been detained by Babangida in the aftermath of the June 12 protests. He also lifted the bans on media houses and allowed exiled opposition leaders to return to the country. Shonekan also opened some of the universities that Babangida had sealed and held concrete discussions with the National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers (NUPENG) and the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) to end their labour strikes. On the international front, Shonekan made attempts and lobbied for Nigeria's debt to be cancelled by foreign nations, while also repealing many of Ibrahim Babangida's brutal military decrees. He also tried to reduce the influence of the federal government on schools and negotiated with foreign nations like the United Kingdom to lift sanctions and ensure proper cooperation between the Nigerian educational sector and its counterparts abroad. Ernest Shonekan had inherited a carcass from Babangida. The economy was in a dire strait and there was virtually nothing left in the foreign reserves. Shonekan also launched probes into the affairs of federal agencies like the National Electric Power Authority (NEPA), Nigeria Airways, Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN), the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), and the Nigerian Customs Service.
Interim is interim. Interim, from the way I look at it, is not a democratically elected civilian government. Interim means somebody is handpicked. Come and stay here. That, in other words, means installation.
Chief Ernest Shonekan also had his failures as the head of the interim national government of Nigeria. On November 8, 1993, Shonekan decided to remove petroleum subsidies due to declining oil prices on the international markets. As a result, fuel prices skyrocketed from 70 kobo to to 3 naira 50 kobo. Nigerians became angry and protests broke out all over the nation, especially in Lagos. 7 days later, on November 15, the Nigerian Labour Congress declared a total strike. The National Assembly under Shonekan was a house of commotion. There were two factions of those in support of the ING and those against it. Some members of the armed forces as well as the political parties were involved in the plot to frustrate Shonekan and had his government dissolved. Tensions mounted on the floor of the National Assembly, and on November 2, 1993, the Senate President, Dr. Abacha, was impeached and Senator Ame Ebute succeeded him. Ayu's impeachment was orchestrated by pro-Shonekan senators led by the late Senator Chuba Okadigbo. Interestingly, Okadigbo himself would be impeached as the Senate President 7 years later in the year 2000, during Nigeria's Fourth Republic. Two days later, on November 10, 1993, Shonekan's government experienced its greatest bombshell. A Lagos High Court presided by Justice Dolapo Akinsoya had declared the interim national government illegal in response to a suit filed by Abiola the month before. The court declared Shonekan's government as lacking any legality and rendered it null and void. The ever-patient and cunning Abacha, after learning of the court's judgment, now used the same Decree 61 that the court had declared illegal to arm-twist Shonekan to resign. Once Abacha became head of state and delivered his maiden speech on November 18, 1993, he quickly abrogated that decree.
Consequently, the following decisions come into immediate effect. The interim national government is hereby dissolved. The national and state assemblies are also dissolved. The state executive councils are dissolved. The brigade commanders are to take over from the governors in their states until administrators are appointed. Where there are no brigade commanders, the commissioners of police in the states are to take over. All local governments stand dissolved. The directors of personnel are to take over the administration of the local governments until administrators are appointed. The National Electoral Commission is hereby dissolved. All former secretaries to federal ministries are to hand over to their director generals until ministers are appointed. The two political parties are hereby dissolved. All processions, political meetings and associations of any type in any part of the country are hereby banned. Any consultative committee, by whatever name called, is hereby proscribed. Decree 61 of 1993 is hereby abrogated.
How Abacha overthrew Shonekan has been narrated comprehensively in our next video.